Hi everyone, we are back again with another reading of Aether Wuld by Marlon Rodriguez. Today is Chapter 5, Blackstone Forest. Let's get into it. Bodies of enraged kin lay scattered in the grasslands far south of Ada's kin, just outside Blackstone Forest. Even at the edge of the forest, the canopy already towered above them. Not even the tower in Ada's kin would have allowed Ymir to reach it. Although some low-hanging branches were occasionally within reach. Embedded crossbow bolts were in the eyes and skulls of the enraged corpses. These bodies were shorter than the striders, though their fangs warped, and their limbs were thicker than barrels. Some had horns or antlers, others had snouts or scales, just as varying as their Anihu counterparts, though larger and more ferocious. "Is this where you and Tostra escaped from?" Ymir asked as she knelt to Orcus's strider. Orcus nodded. He stared at the dead for a moment and formed a triangle with his fingers before wiggling his hands to imitate smoke billowing in the wind. "Don't worry. We'll build pyres for them once we're home. They will have a proper send-off, I promise," Ymir said. Orcus took a deep breath and nodded. He pointed up towards the lower hanging branches and treetops and then to his eyes. He then pointed to the ground and gestured as if crawling out from beneath. Lastly, Orcus pointed at Ymir, held up one finger and pointed to his head. He waved his hands from end to end of Blackstone, as far as he could see. "So, keep my eyes open everywhere? And you're saying there was one in charge?" Ymir asked. "If that's the case, did you see what the pack leader looked like?" Orcus shook his head, then pointed to his nose and made swishing sounds like waves crashing onto a shore. He pointed to his ears and made a squelching sound. "Like the ocean? That's odd, but this is good to know. Thank you." Ymir stood up. Behind Ymir and Orcus, Mulo hovered next to Chroma and burst out laughing. "Are you crying, Somek? We haven't even killed anything yet. Do you want to skitter back home on your weird reptile thing?" "Bah, you know what I mean." Chroma removed her hand from her eye and glared at Mulo. "No, my head hurts is all. Go!" Her mount rushed forward, dropping her on her back. Mulo continued laughing maniacally. This is priceless. Are you watching, my lord? This poor thing can't even keep up." Chroma groaned. "Don't you ever stop talking about your lord? No one knows who you worship. Just that he's wonderful and merciful. He's probably not even that great." She stood up, wiping the dirt off her tail. "And why should I stop? You're not worthy of knowing his name. Not that you would comprehend his greatness," Mulo said. Orcus rode back with Chroma's steed and handed her the reins while frowning at Mulo. "What is it, mute? Got something to say?" Mulo put a hand to his ear. "No? That's what I thought." "Hey, are you done insulting the people who are supposed to watch your back if things go wrong? Hurry it up," Ymir said. She heaved the corpse of an enraged kin by its tusks, and briny sludge oozed from its mouth. Dark purplish vines protruded from its eye sockets, writhing. As Ymir pried the body from the soil, the vines quivered and burrowed into the body's nose, wrestling it from her grip. Taking one of her swords, she cut into a vine. The tree closest to her rattled as a deep moan resonated from within the forest. Ymir frowned. "Why did you two have to choose this place?" she muttered to herself. "What's the matter? Did a Nelu eat your dreams?" Mulo said, grinning, flying over dozens of dead kin. "We made it to the forest in record time, so what's the rush?" Ymir sheathed her sword, staring into the forest. "Your friends, our friends, could be in danger and need us. But here you are sitting back and watching like you always do, letting everyone else do all the heavy lifting." Mulo perked up his head, tilting it slightly. He flew up in Ymir's face. "Letting you do the hefty lifting?" Mulo opened his mouth to speak, but bit his tongue and forced a smile. "You think Ro is in danger, but you forget both of you are walking armies. The only thing even capable of harming him are the high spirits themselves. He is fine." Ymir clenched her fists. If the roles were in reverse, you know he wouldn't rest until he's made sure all of us are safe. Blackstone Forest offered little light. The plant life was dense, save for the occasional clearings, where Enraged had trampled through. Orcus led the group through the foliage, frequently looking up and prodding the ground with a spear. His strider gingerly stepped over and around shrubbery without breaking its momentum, barely leaving paw prints in its wake. Wind howled from within the forest, carrying salty air. Orcus's strider shuddered, but he patted its back and urged it forward. He slid his fingers along a tree as he passed it, briefly feeling a rhythmic thump. He examined the residue, a black so dark it resembled staring into a void. Following Orcus, Ymir carried 2 torches, one above and the other to her side. Chroma's mount scrambled through the brush to the best of its ability. It stepped on a vine that wrapped itself around the lizard's legs. As the lizard stumbled, Ymir hacked at the vine with a sword. More came reaching out their legs. A rotting scent arose with each swipe, until the trees shuddered and stopped reaching out. Ymir kept her eyes on the foliage. "Are you all right, Chroma?" Chitters and bellows echoed through the forest as the trees swayed. Faint thuds rocked the trees. Chroma tightened her tail around the horn of her saddle and looked up at Ymir. "I'm okay, but why do these plants grow so thick in the dark?" "They feed off the living. The enraged are the only ones that can thrive in this land of environment." "But when they die, the forest gets to eat," Ymir said. Chroma tensed. "Have you been through here before?" "Only once, when we first found the excavation site," Ymir said. "Don't worry, though. We'll be fine if we keep moving." They continued forward past a half-decayed strider. Vines and roots were wrapped around its neck and burrowed into its flesh. The body occasionally twitched as it was pulled deeper into the soil. Ymir glanced down at Chroma, flinching at every plant that brushed against her hooves. "Oh, I know this place can be a little unnerving, but I'm sure I'm relieved you're here with me," she said, holding up a leafy branch. Chroma snorted. "Really? Thought you didn't want me coming along." "I don't," Mulo groaned from way up in the darkness. He flew down. "You two are insufferable. I hope you both have your dreams eaten by a Nelu." "You already used that one today. I think you're losing your touch," Ymir pointed out. "Besides, if a Nelu did exist, I'm pretty sure I'd much rather eat whatever rotten little dreams you have in that head of yours." Mulo scoffed and ascended into the darkness, leaving the group behind. Chroma's reptile mount plowed its way through the thicket, spitefully eating any dead foliage in its path. It burped a black haze, and licked its eye before continuing to tread. She scratched its head. "Ymir said these plants like to consume the living, so it's probably best to leave them alone." Mulo groaned as Chroma grinned. Orcus's strider slowed and raised its ears, pointing them in different directions. He hummed a soothing melody and patted it. Orcus held up his hand, and the 3 of them came to a halt. Chroma's tail frizzed, and her ears flickered. She hissed. "Ymir?" "It's the enraged." She placed the torches at her feet and slowly drew her swords, planting them in 4 points around her. She weaved her hands into a circle engulfed by a triangle. A sun within a pyramid. "Grov und Fire und Rock." The torches crackled and ignited the foliage beneath her, drawing themselves into a circle connected by the 4 swords. The trees violently swayed and groaned. Roots reached out towards the flame, attempting to smother it, but withered to ash at its touch. "Procdata's blood." The ignited flames adopted a gray hue, dimly lighting the area around them. Leaves fell from above as the trees convulsed. "There's no running away. We're too deep in the woods. See if you can find the pack leader. You'll both need to work fast. I can only hold the spell for so long." Orcus took the strider and lizard by the reins and led them between Ymir's legs. He hummed the same soothing melody and pulled their heads to the ground, giving them both a pat on the head. They quickly fell asleep. Orcus pulled a spear and crossbow from his strider's saddle. Chroma drew a scimitar and split it in 2, holding half in each hand. The fire attracted the enraged, who surrounded the torches. Some gingerly avoided roots and vines as they sunk out of the shadows. Others stepped forward, unconcerned when the plants lashed out at them. Some fed on the foliage, while dangling from low-hanging branches, watching. Each kin displayed enlarged features, warped claws, branched tusks, one coiled along the tree, spinning its head around multiple times. From behind them, all stood a towering enraged kin, the pack leader. Briny sludge seeped from its eyes and mouth as it let out a gurgling roar. It stumbled forward, its wounds and gashes squirting sludge with each movement. Even slouched, and in its sickly state, it stood half as tall as Ymir. The pack leader had a singular cracked tusk and bony antlers. Unlike the other enraged kin, it walked on its hind legs. It threw itself with a protective barrier, breaking its claws across the flames. One of the paws lit. It huffed and jammed its arm into the ground, extinguishing the fire before it could spread. Chroma stood wide-eyed. "Did it just extinguish? We need to take that one down," Ymir said. "The rest should scatter." "How are we supposed to fight off this many of them?" Chroma asked. Ymir looked around at the predators lurking about. None were quite as tall and bulky as the pack leader, but many could have rivaled its size had they been allowed to grow. She bit her tongue and shut her eyes. "I'm going to isolate the big one in the circle with us, but you and Orcus have to deal with it. We'll only get one opportunity, and I'll be too drained to cast any more spells for a while. Do you both understand?" Chroma and Orcus nodded. Chroma tightened her grip on the scimitars and wrapped her tail around her wrist. Orcus planted his spear beside him and readied his crossbow. Ymir focused on the pack leader, extending each of her arms forward. "Vers mes prés." The flaming circle opened and expanded toward the kin. The smaller enraged that touched the flames could not extinguish them. Their cries quickly fell silent. Roots extended from the ground, wrapping around the dead, pulling them under. Vines started to climb Ymir's legs as well. She took a slow breath as her fingertips touched and the circle closed, entrapping the pack leader within. The enraged outside the circle rushed forward, but their leader bellowed as it stomped one leg, halting them. They howled and squealed in protest. Chroma stared at the beasts, each of their cold expressions cold and absent, while they stomped and scratched the ground. "Maybe one day you can be saved," she sighed. "But not today." She raised her scimitars. She crouched before leaping forward. The leader raked its claws through the air, barely missing Chroma as she cut into its arm. She planted her hooves onto its shoulder and slashed its face before leaping away. The beast tried to catch her with its tusk, but received a crossbow bolt to the eye from Orcus. The pack leader snorted and shook its head in a half-blind rage. It stared at the ground, deep red blood mixed with the sludge that poured from its wounds. Its breast grew heavy, as it fought out off the roots, attempting to pull it under. The leader tilted its head toward the canopy and roared with all its might. Digging its claws into the ground, it hurled stones towards Chroma. She leaped upward, but was slammed back into the ground by its other arm. She gasped for air, but rolled with the hit. She managed to dodge to her left as more stones came flying. The leader raised both its claws as Orcus let loose another bolt into its eye. It grunted, slamming its arms downward. Chroma picked herself up and leaped onto the leader's shoulders. It reared as Orcus fired more bolts into its arms. Wrapping her tail around its antlers, Chroma jammed her scimitars into either side of its neck. She hissed as she twisted the blades. The pack leader swatted her off its shoulder, knocking her to the ground. It stood over her, gurgling as it struggled to stand. The beast collapsed, twitching. Ymir spat blood as she fell to her knee, and the flames dwindled. "Chroma, are you okay?" She tried to hurry over, but tripped over roots that had wrapped around her legs. The enraged howled, squawked, and bellowed. Turning their gaze to Chroma, they growled as they approached, and they pounced. Chroma's stomach dropped as she shielded her head. "Useless," Mullo said from above, resting on a branch. He extended his hand. The remaining enraged kin exhaled their final breaths and fell. Mullo closed his fist, causing them to wither into dust. "I look away for a minute, and you almost get yourself killed. They sensed your weakness, and had I not been here, you would be dead. Come on, Somek, I thought you were supposed to be useful." Chroma huffed. "Orcus and I took down their pack leader, no thanks to you." "Oh yes, congratulations on defeating a sickly creature on the verge of death. Would you like a pastry?" Chroma bit her tongue. You, Somek, should never have left the safety of Ada's kin. I wonder, how does it feel, Somek, to be— Stop calling me that! Chroma demanded. Or what? Mulo asked, gathering crackling energy with his palms. What will you do, Somek? Enough! Ymir stood, wiping the blood from her mouth. I told you, we have bigger things to worry about than your need to look down on everyone. If you call her that again, I'll feed you to the trees. Mulo glanced back at the pack leader, already partially covered in roots, and scoffed. How's that for letting you do all the heavy lifting? You're welcome for saving your lover. He turned and flew back up. Chroma hesitated, climbing atop her lizard. I am not useless, right, Ymir? Ymir knelt beside Chroma. Don't listen to him. You're far from useless. You and Orcus took down that enraged kin after all. She paused. However, I do wish you would have stayed home. I'm worried about Marin and Ro, and we have to also deal— She cut a vine reaching toward her. We have to deal with the forest, and Mulo being himself. And I just have a lot on my mind right now. Chroma's ears and shoulders drooped. I didn't realize my presence was a problem. You know that's not what I meant. I love you, and you did a great job taking down that beast. I just— Ymir sighed. Just please be careful. Okay. Chroma looked down and rode forward. The excavation site should be through here, Ymir said, walking briskly to the foliage, picking up her knees to avoid the carnivorous roots. Orcus drummed on his legs. His strider and Chroma's lizard bobbed their heads to the beat and hurried to catch up to Ymir. Mulo flew down to speak to the giantess. My lord tasked me with guiding you. I'll take the lead here. She rolled her eyes and gestured ahead of her. Hurry up, then. He obliged, darting through branches and limbs as needed. Tree roots dug into the mountainside, slowly becoming as dark as the stone around them. The group reached a path. Dirt and dust offered the only semblance of the trail. Chroma rode up to Ymir as they ascended the cliff. Are you doing okay? I'm fine. She clenched her fists. Are you sure? You said earlier— I said I'm fine. Ymir's chin quivered. Chroma's eyes widened, and she slowed her mount. Oh, okay, I'll just be here if you need me, or— Yeah. No, Chroma, no, it's okay. I'll just be back here. She trailed alongside Orcus. Ymir sighed. I'm sorry, she mumbled to herself. At the top of the cliff, Orcus's strider froze. The strider whimpered before spinning on its haunches. Orcus hummed, wrestling with the beast to keep it from sprinting down the hill they had just traversed. It reluctantly obeyed, huffing. Chroma's lizard nuzzled its head under the strider's throat, licking its fur until it's calmed down. Mulo flew down to address the group. Enraged kin shouldn't come this far up. It's probably Marin's wards that are scaring them. And can you try to hurry it up? He took back to the skies, muttering to himself. Chroma and Orcus shrugged at each other. Stay on the center of the path. Some of the trees look like they're ready to fall over. Ymir hopped over a crater, almost falling in when her foot slipped on the briny slime. A stone arc peered over the peak. Her heart raced. I'm going ahead to try and find them. She jumped over crevices and fallen tree trunks, vaulted over this final shattered tree to a seemingly untouched expanse of blackstone. Ro? Marin? She called. The trees only swayed in response. Hey! We're— She kicked a piece of metal sticking out of the stone, drenched in black tar. With 2 hands she tugged and strained her back before the stone let go. She gently wiped away the sludge, revealing the cracked runes of Ro's spear. Ymir stuttered back several steps. Facing the stone archway she had seen from beyond the bend, and the opposite side of the fallen trunk, she saw the back of a man's head. Ymir walked around and knelt before him. Oh, you found— Chroma gasped as the others arrived over the bend a few minutes later. She covered her mouth and wrapped her tail around her leg. Chroma's eyes watered. Ymir? I... Rose, Ymir stuttered, blinking erratically. We... we... we need to find Marin. Come on. Mulo hovered in silence and landed next to Ymir. A tear fell from his cheek and he wiped it. Not allowing yourself even a single tear, Ymir? Aside from Marin, you knew him the longest. We... She gulped. We need to find Marin. She grabbed her chest, and her shoulders drooped. She forced herself to her feet. Wrap his body. We need to go. Mulo scoffed. I never took you to be the heartless one. She's not, Chroma said, failing to keep her tears from running down her face. Mr. High and Mighty can't even read a situation. We can't help Ro, but maybe we can still find Marin. She paused to swipe at her tears. And we will. But we need to find out how this happened first. Chroma joined Ymir and knelt before Ro, examining his hollow eyes. His body lay covered in briny sludge. No stab wounds or claw marks marred his body, no bites or broken bones. How did this happen? Well, it's quite simple. I orchestrated his end. And that's the end of the chapter. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye.